A journey to speak my heart. The morning sun cast a warm glow on the quiet streets of downtown. Marcus walked briskly through the empty sidewalks, his heart pounding in his chest. He had been planning this moment for weeks, and now, as he neared the office building where she worked, he could feel his resolve faltering. He had loved Rachel since the day they met in college. They had been friends for years, but he never had the courage to tell her how he felt. He watched as she dated other guys, and each time his heart ached a little more. But today, he was determined to finally speak his heart. As he walked into the lobby of the building, he took a deep breath, gathering his courage. He knew Rachel worked on the 9th floor, so he made his way to the elevator, his heart racing. When he stepped out of the elevator, he was met with the bustle of a busy office, the sound of ringing phones and tapping keyboards filling the air. He spotted Rachel at her desk, her head bent over her computer screen. Marcus watched her for a moment, taking in the sight of her long, auburn hair and the curve of her back. He felt a rush of emotion and knew he had to speak to her before he lost his nerve. He made his way over to her desk, the sound of his footsteps echoing in the quiet space. Rachel looked up, surprised to see him. "Marcus, what are you doing here?" she asked, a small smile on her lips. He took a deep breath, trying to calm his racing heart. "Rachel, I need to talk to you." "Can we go somewhere private?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Rachel looked at him, concern etched on her face. "Of course, let's go to the conference room," she said, standing up from her desk. As they walked to the conference room, Marcus could feel his palms getting sweaty. He had rehearsed what he wanted to say 1,000 times in his head, but now that the moment was here, he could feel himself stumbling over his words. When they entered the conference room, Rachel closed the door behind them, turning to face him. "Marcus, what's going on?" "You're making me nervous," she said, her brow furrowing. He took a deep breath, his eyes locked with hers. "Rachel, I know we've been friends for a long time, but there's something I need to tell you," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. Rachel's eyes widened in surprise, and Marcus could see the confusion and uncertainty on her face. "What is it, Marcus?" she asked softly. He took another deep breath, his heart pounding in his chest. "Rachel, I've loved you for years. I've watched you date other guys, and each time it's hurt a little more. But I can't keep my feelings hidden anymore." "I love you, Rachel," he said, his voice shaking with emotion. Rachel stared at him for a moment, her eyes searching his face. Marcus could feel the weight of her silence, and he wondered if he had made a mistake. But then she spoke, her voice soft and gentle. "Marcus, I had no idea. I've always thought of you as a friend, but I had no idea you felt this way," she said, her eyes filled with compassion. Marcus felt a wave of relief wash over him. He had finally said what he had needed to say, and Rachel had heard him. He knew there was no guarantee that she felt the same way, but he felt a sense of peace that he had been honest with her. For the next few minutes, they talked about what it all meant, what would happen next, and as they talked, Marcus felt a sense of weight lifting off his shoulders. Rachel listened to him with an open heart, and he felt a newfound sense of hope. They agreed to take things slow, to see where their feelings would take them. Over the next few weeks, Marcus and Rachel spent more time together. They went on walks, talked for hours on end, and explored the city together. Marcus felt a sense of joy he had never experienced before, and he knew it was because he was finally being honest with himself and with Rachel. One evening, they sat on a bench in the park, watching the sun set over the horizon. Rachel leaned her head on his shoulder, and Marcus felt a sense of contentment wash over him. He knew that he had taken a risk by speaking his heart, but it had been worth it. "Marcus," Rachel said softly, breaking the silence. "I want you to know that I've been thinking about what you said. And I think I might feel the same way. Marcus felt his heart skip a beat, and he turned to look at her. Really? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Rachel nodded, a small smile on her lips. Yes, really. I've always cared about you, Marcus. But I didn't realize how much until you told me. I think I might be in love with you too. Marcus felt a rush of emotion, and he leaned in to kiss her. It was a soft, gentle kiss, but it held all the promise and hope of a future together. From that day forward, Marcus and Rachel became inseparable. They fell deeply in love, and they knew that they had found something special. They supported each other through the ups and downs of life, and they knew that they could always count on each other. Years later, as they stood at the altar, Marcus looked into Rachel's eyes and felt a sense of gratitude wash over him. He was grateful for the risk he had taken, for the courage he had found within himself to speak his heart. He was grateful for Rachel, for her love and her support. As they exchanged their vows, Marcus knew that he had found the love of his life. And he knew that it had all started with a simple act of courage, with the decision to speak his heart.